My name is Mike Shepard. I'm a producer. I want to get to know the artists in my new community. This is 1,000 Meals with 1,000 Artists.
How did you get here and where did you come from? Tell me where you've been and where you're going.
My name is Emmanuel. I'm a creative director.
Welcome to 1,000 Meals with 1,000 Artists. My opportunity to get to know the arts community a little bit better by sitting down with artists one-on-one, sharing a meal, and talking about all things art. This week, I shared a meal with Emmanuel. He's someone I also met through the 20 Today, 20 Tomorrow and the Novus Group. He is the creative director of 20 Today, 20 Tomorrow, which is really the creative arm of the Novus Group. They do a lot of really interesting work. I have partnered and worked with this organization before. That's how I got to know Emmanuel, and that's how I got to know Drayden as well. Their group is basically a youth think tank. It's incredible. They get young people together in a room, and they help organizations, businesses, corporations, companies, anyone really, tackle various creative problems, challenges they may be facing, and how to get youth more involved in the work that they do. Emmanuel and I talk about a lot of very interesting topics, but mainly we focus on his interest in curating art. He describes himself as someone without talent, which is something that I think I've said about myself many, many times. But what we kind of discover is his talent is very much recognizing creativity in someone else. He may not have the traditional talents that an artist has. The people you think of when you think of artists, you think of painters, the sculptors, the actors, the musicians, and all the like. But Emmanuel, once again, has this connection back to the work that I do because he is someone who finds talent in others, wants to amplify the voice of artists, and create and curate his own different types of arts exhibits. I was so thankful to be able to sit down with Emmanuel and have this be the second meal so I could kick off this series with two conversations that really reflect back to the type of art I feel I do and I create. My conversation with him was at Jack's Chip Truck. This is a food truck that is on Rideau Street in Ottawa. I'd never heard of it before. First time for me being here, but it's something that had a personal connection back to Emmanuel and his days in high school. Something he told me offline was that this food truck really helped save him. It prevented him from doing other things in high school during lunch hour. He would come here, have some great food, chat with the owner, who he knows quite well now. And this was the spot he picked to share our meal just as the summer was ending in Ottawa. Enjoy our conversation with Emmanuel, and please don't forget, if you want to learn more about the work that he does, about the work that Drayden did, who you heard from last week, go visit the Novus Group's website. Check out all the amazing things they're doing and now their expanded services that they're offering to all sorts of organizations throughout Ottawa, Ontario, and Canada. The title creative director,
Yeah.
that's something that you're saying you were kind of going with that because you don't have any talents in the traditional
Well, yeah.
arts
I
way
think
of looking at it.
I could appreciate art, and I have my whole life. My brothers are artists. My sisters are in the fashion world. I never had I never found the talent to express the creativity I have. But over the last few years, the term creative director, or even just a creative, has kind of been a great way to not completely kind of throw away the idea of being talented within the art world, right? I do kind of feel like a lot of people in the art field are very, not pretentious, but like they're very defensive of their craft, as they should be. So anytime you try to kind of step foot on their territory, you get a certain, you get kicked out. So the term creative has been a way to like make sure I'm respecting everybody, including myself, still acknowledging my appreciation in curating, which is one thing I want to do in life.
Yeah.
One day curate my own art exhibition.
Yep.
But for now, that's just the label I've been using. And it's been going good with that label.
Well, and frankly, I mean, I can say from my experiences, I've had similar issues where everyone's very protective
Mm-hmm.
of the thing they do. And that's, fair and understandable. You don't want to lose what you do,
Right.
but it makes it difficult to embrace new ideas, new people, new things like that. So I like that. I like that you found a new terminology, creative director to be creative, the creative, and even curating. Curating's been around forever.
Oh,
you
yeah.
can't, people don't, not all artists understand this, that you can't have art without the creative person behind there curating or producing, like as a term in theater, for someone who's not, like, I don't have artistic skills either, but I produce and create theater because if you don't have that person, it doesn't exist.
It's literally, yeah. No, 100%. And I've kind of been realizing that more and more. But I also do think there's space, like we need a consumer, right? We need people who don't do arts and do nothing but consume it, which is kind of what I was trying to, I don't know if I was just saying that to make myself find a role in the world, in the art field, but I kept justifying. I was at this art talk with this curator. His name was Dr. Montague at the NAC.
Yeah.
And he was talking about the importance of how he had no talent within the art world, right? But he kind of, his appreciation led him to kind of curate art. And he had this really cool kind of thing that stuck with me when he said that the art world needs consumers that appreciate art. And they're arguably just as important as the artists themselves, which caused a few rumblings in the room, but I definitely agreed with it.
Would you say then, in addition to being someone who wants to curate art, obviously as a creative director, you are fueling the talents of others. You're finding talented people, and you're working with them, right? Like that would be one way to describe your work. Would you say you're also someone who's going to advocate for artists? Like, are you there to be an advocate?
Oh, hell yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Artists advocate a lot for a lot of different things.
Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes, as with everything now, some things might get overplayed, as in some things might not be worth advocating for.
Can you
like
give an example?
super like niche. For example, museums should be charging everybody $100 because my art is worth that much, or things like that.
Right.
I think it's just a matter of not, and even me, like I'm not going to talk like I understand the whole art world because I don't.
No.
But I think a lot of people just kind of focus on their niche issues, on their niche topics, what they have problems with, without kind of analyzing the whole situation. So when it comes to advocating in the art world, you have to be really careful about what you're kind of vouching for and what you're not vouching for.
Okay. So do you think that's less effective?
What do you mean?
Like, the idea of people are advocating for things you're saying and they're spending time maybe in the wrong area.
Yeah.
You're thinking that's because, like, you think that way because that's less effective. What you're suggesting is a little bit more, like, focused or broad strokes.
Yeah, well, I think it should be more meaningful.
Meaningful, okay.
Like, and that's another thing. Like, the great thing about, for the example I use, that museums in Ottawa actually have really good prices. And 3 days is that it makes art accessible to everyone.
Well, like free Thursdays at several museums.
It's huge.
That's a big thing. Yeah.
It's insane how big that is, and I don't think, especially people in Ottawa, they're like the most rigid people that I've ever met, and I'm from Ottawa, where in a way they don't really appreciate everything we got. Having free art and art like at a reasonable price is insane in terms of what it gives back to the community. And that's just one thing, for example, we were talking about. I wouldn't advocate for that. I wouldn't advocate to price art exhibitions at a higher price.
Right.
I'd advocate against that.
Okay.
So I guess it's all just to say that there are effective ways to advocate in the art world, but I just think a lot of it are people who are not getting the full picture.
Yeah.
And also, some people, how are they going to get the full picture? Like, maybe it's never a problem they've had, but personally speaking, I know how much having free art once a week has meant to me, my brothers, friends, even students, So.
And you're saying, like, just having that access
It's everything.
is everything.
It's
and
everything.
is that because it's inspiring, or?
Oh, well, I mean, art is kind of everything.
Yeah, that's
like
fair.
Music, sound, art. I'm most comfortable when I'm surrounded by it. And I think a lot of people kind of feel the same way. And even if you don't, it's a way to kind of explore a whole new world. It's like a whole new job that you don't really see at school, in the sense that you don't get, like, people don't see the art world, right? It's kind of hidden. When you listen to music, you consume art on a daily basis, but you don't really know anything about it. having these free things in the city, these exhibitions and all that, it's huge.
That's
It means
really
so
interesting.
much.
That's really, I've never really thought of it that way, and that's a really interesting thing to say. Like we all consume art every day,
Oh, yeah.
in some form or other. And so you just to go back to, you want to curate your own art show. Like, are you wanting to focus on visual arts, or I mean, you just brought up music and other
Yeah.
things. Like,
Yeah.
would you want to do other things? And
wherever I end up going, I feel like
it
at
doesn't
first,
matter.
yeah,
Okay.
it doesn't matter. I do want to curate. It would look kind of like an experience. It would involve music. The way I talked about it to people I was explaining is I want to do kind of a live curation of kind of like jazz in Canada, and it would be where, like I'd have an album, like I collect a bunch of albums. I'd have an album of Oscar Peterson, a Canadian jazz artist, and then I would ask a youth to paint while listening to that. So it's kind of like jazz seen through the lens of youth. And I think that's just like one way of not making it boring, like kind of be innovative with it, but also still, you get to learn from that. And it would obviously wouldn't be just that. Like there would be information about the artist and
Of
the
course,
album.
yeah.
There'd be a physical version of the album.
It's such a cool idea.
But that's like the jazz seen through the lens of youth in Ottawa or whatever. Because again, I love music and I love jazz now, but I would have not learned about that world if I didn't go to that free jazz show at these museums and stuff.
Right. And that introduction was all you needed.
It's all I
to
needed.
spark your creativity.
Literally.
That's what it sounds
All
like.
I needed,
Yeah. That's really cool. So, to get a little, like I mentioned to you before, I don't want to be too interviewy, but I'm going to ask you an interviewee question.
Yeah.
Which is, what's stopping you right now from doing that?
Oh, nothing.
Nothing.
Right now, there's this quote I read where it was like, you could essentially do anything, but just not all at once. And I want to do everything. And if I piled up everything I want to do onto myself right now, I'd completely crash. But there's the other aspect of if I want to do it, I want to do it right.
Yeah.
Like I want to do it. It'll be done in the best way possible. And let's just be honest, me right now, financially speaking, I'm a student. Like,
right.
That can't happen right now.
You feel like you have the time.
Yeah,
to
but it's
be ready for it.
Yeah, and it's definitely something. I feel like if I have the idea now and I keep surrounding myself with people that push me forward, I'll be able to hone that, and I'm confident that down the line, it's something I'd be able to bring to life.
So surrounding yourself with the people who you think are creative, who are driving you, is that? I guess I want to talk a little bit about your work right now, like what you're doing right now.
Yeah.
Like I'm wondering if you can kind of just speak on what you're doing right now and like what led you there.
So I'm a student at Ottawa. I'm in criminology, entering my last year. I also work part-time with the Ottawa Community Housing Foundation. Mm-hmm. We do a lot of work with low-income communities in the city. I'm also part of the Novas Group, which is a startup started by my friend Drayton. And so that's kind of what I got going. Which
you're the creative director of a particular stream of it.
Yeah, exactly. For 20 Today, 20 Tomorrow, which is kind of the in-house conceptualized branch of it. But no, I think all of those, what I've learned from all those experiences, including school, as much as I hate to say it, is that Ottawa it's just a community city. If you want to get something done in the future, you just need to keep meeting these people, but in a meaningful way.
Yeah.
You can't just go up to someone and, those people like network to shit and just expect something and like they're so transactional. You can't go up to people like that. If you meet people, especially starting at a young age in a meaningful way, these people will remember your name. You don't even meet them to get anything out of them. You're just meeting them because you actually care. It's insane how much that could get you, like the things I've received from that. I would have not met Dre if it weren't for that, for example. I met Drayton, the person I work with now on his startup in Halifax.
Yeah.
Didn't even know he existed before then. Met him because at work, someone who knew me offered me tickets to go. And it's all just connection. Everything in Ottawa, it's like you're so behind if you don't know people. But you're also behind if you know people just for the sake of knowing them. If you find a balance between both where you actually care to know the person, it's insane how far it gets
you. You hit on something that is so true. And I completely agree with you. Building that strong relationship with people so it's less transactional. Mm-hmm. I think that's really good. That's a lovely quote. You're going to see me use that for sure. I will credit you, but I'm going to use that.
Please.
I wish, though, when I was your age, I was running my own theater company. I wish I had the same approach you did of, I want everything, but not all at once. I did not do that. I did everything all at once for 10 years, and you're 100% right. I crashed. Like, I crashed hard. Like, 280 pounds, almost dead.
Well, I know you kind of explained that to me already before.
Yeah.
And just hearing that advice is like, I can't hear you and other people say that and just follow in the same footsteps.
It is you, and I've said this to Drayden as well, the two of you, I have yet to meet anyone who compares to both of you. And I'm not just trying to flatter you both. I'm actually honest, and you have the same drive and ambition I did at the same age. I was at the same ambition. But both of you are so much smarter. And you figure things out that at like 35 I begrudgingly accept, where you've already not only accepted it, you've figured it out, and it's like a life motto. Like you're so far, you both are so far ahead of where I was. And you're like, that is such great advice that you're giving to really anyone, of like, you can have anything. You really can, but like, take your time and like, don't, obviously people say time is precious, and it is, but if you map it out, if you plan it, if you work hard at it, things come in time, and you're taking a very, very healthy approach to it.
Yeah, I don't want to shoot myself in the foot, right? It's everyone should aim high.
Yes,
I totally agree with that, especially in the art world. You need to aim high because it's so competitive. But if you kind of just are there for the journey and just chill out, no stress, it's great.
Okay. So I love how positive you are. I love how positive this has been. You're ambitious. I love it.
Let's get into the negative.
Yeah, well, listen, it's out there. Like, I've shared with you and Drayden some of my experiences. Like, I think, everyone has their own experiences, but being a young person who's ambitious, who has plans, who wants to enter the quote-unquote adult world, presents challenges.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see if the challenges I faced at, like, what are you, 21? Like
21.
21, yeah. So that I faced at 21 are the same that you faced here. Because I faced a lot of challenges. Like, and I'll be honest right now. In Kingston, there were organizations that hated my existence because I was young and I was doing something that they spent their life doing. And I felt I was taking away from their peace, whatever their peace was.
Yep.
I was taking away. Now, there were others who are like, we love it. We want to partner with you. We think it's great. We embrace you. I will credit those organizations all the time. It was not the norm in Kingston.
Right.
That's not the normal thing that I saw. It was actually the opposite. when I found a positive group, I latched onto them so hard. Like I will give credit to the Kingston Frontenac Public Library system. They have 8 to 16 branches or something.
Yeah.
They were so supportive. They gave us free space. They worked with us on projects. They partnered with us. They were 100% on board. There were some art galleries and some other businesses
Hated your guts?
who hated our guts. Told us, no, your youth arts festival, you can't put your art in here. It's going to be bad. So have you had any struggles like that? Has anyone come to you and be like, you're too ambitious?
Yeah, they just don't frame it that way. It'll be done differently.
Okay.
In like a variety of different ways. That's kind of the furthest from straight up saying it.
Okay.
Whether you see it through, people who, not anyone I work with, but we work with a lot of different other people. And a lot of times you just realize you're not really taking it seriously. You're kind of like, sometimes it's blatant disrespect. They just don't realize what they're doing.
Sure.
But I think there's this cool part of it where it's like, it means I'm a threat in a way. And I've kind of think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So when it does happen now, because it happened a lot when I meet other people, not who I work with, like not my team, but like a lot of people we work with, where it would annoy me a lot before, but at the end I'm like, damn, okay, these guys kind of like, they see me, and it's not to toot my own horn. Like I really don't want to do that, but like a lot of these guys, they just hate me because I'm young. That's so cool. Like let's keep doing what I'm doing. Let's keep getting people to feel uncomfortable about it. Because at the end of the day, like I don't have the time to care about like this one guy who's not taking me seriously. Like, okay, don't take me seriously, whatever. It's kind of cool how you don't take me seriously. In a way, acknowledging them is giving a win. Yeah. So I just don't acknowledge them. When they come, it just goes away.
You're right. And I think that idea of when someone is trying to bring another person down, it's usually because of their own insecurity, and that can become. Is it helpful to have others around you working with you that you can like?
Oh my God.
Ever express these feelings and they feel the same way, and is that like help?
Yeah, and like over the last year, I would say over the last year, since 2021, the biggest thing that's changed so much has changed. I went from working at a restaurant, hating school and all that, was the people I met along the way.
Right.
And that's why I'm so thankful about just like those genuine connections I make with people and not those artificial ones. Surrounding myself with the people I've surrounded myself with over the last year and a half, 2 years, has had the best impact on my life. These are people who, when there's an opportunity at the table, they're saying my name without me being in the room. There are people who push me forward without like pushing me over the bridge. People who actually care about me. People, it's just, and it's not to say the people before didn't. Oh,
Sure.
like I'm still tight with my friend group from high school. Those are
Yeah.
my boys. But and to have them, that's another way too. These guys are like giving the laughter. They're pushing me forward in other ways. Just if you surround with self, it's that cheesy quote that people always say, like you are what, like the 5 people you surround yourself with the most. I think there's a certain that, like that's such a dumb quote. It's not true at all. But like there's a like little percentage of
Sure.
truth in
Sure.
you can build off of other people's different emotions and thoughts, and when that happens,
Yeah.
like it's crazy.
And if you're a person that has multiple interests, which sometimes people act like we're not allowed to do that anymore, like
Oh,
we
I
can't
know.
have multiple interests, but you can have a group of friends from high school, a
Oh,
group
yeah.
of friends now, and have
yeah.
it be different dynamics,
Oh,
and that's
completely.
okay. That just makes
Yeah, I
you a
know.
more balanced person. I
Yeah,
think.
I'm doing that right now.
I
And
have
I have love for both of them just as much as I do for anybody else.
I have friends that all I talk about with them is football. I have friends that I talk about personal feelings and thoughts with.
Mhm.
I have friends who I talk about career with, and it's just different dynamics, and
Yeah.
it's not. I don't think it's so negative
Oh, no,
to
it's
have
not at
just
all.
different groups.
You need those different outlets, especially you. Like you're into so many different things. You could convey and have conversations with a lot of different people, right?
Well, and I think it helps balance a person out. Like one of the things, like honestly, one of the things that I'm not very prideful about a lot of myself. I'm actually relatively modest. I just don't come off that way.
Yeah.
I do pride myself in the fact that like I have so many interests that you can't count it on the 2 hands we
Right.
have. Like I have enough interest that if I'm in a conversation with someone about almost anything,
Oh yeah,
I'm able to try to make some kind of a connection. And I pride myself on that because some of it's time. I take the time
Oh, yeah.
to do other things, to at least experience other
Right.
things. And then you know if you don't
Oh
like
no,
it or
I
like
I
it.
completely. I'm trying to get like that. Like when I'm just talking to random people and I could talk about like World War II, I nerd out.
Yes.
But like, there's some things where I still can't talk about. But I'm trying to get to the point where I just keep consuming so many different things, and I don't even have to be like a nerd at it, you know?
No.
Just like a slight interest, because I do think carrying a conversation is like the craziest weapon you need in life.
When you meet someone who is quote unquote a nerd in a certain topic, if you're genuine about your interests, like not faking it, they still appreciate it.
Oh yeah.
Like I am a nerd when it comes to Star Trek. But if anyone even feigns interest in it, but in a genuine way of like, hey, like I don't know much about it, but like I saw this one thing and I thought that was cool, I appreciate that. Oh, you're trying.
Yeah, it
And
goes back to
people can tell when it's fake, right?
exactly, and that's just us. It goes back to what we were saying earlier. I hate that. I don't want to feel fake.
Yeah.
I hate. Like one thing I hate is it's never happened before, so I don't know why I'm saying I hate it, but like if it ever does happen where I'm going to meet someone looking specifically to get something out of them while feeling so fake in the process, they'll hate me and they just won't give a crap about what I have to say. Especially now, I can't really give much back. I don't really have much to give to somebody right now. It's not like I'm in some insane position or anything.
What is this next year looking like for you? And the fact that you're leaving school in a year, what kind of thoughts do you have?
Think about it at minimum 5 times a week about the idea of leaving school, but not in like a daunting, my quarter life crisis existential thing, but in like a, fuck yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen. Like,
are you excited? Like, are you happy to leave?
Oh, I'm so happy to leave school. Everything I've learned over the last 3.5, 4 years, well, 3 years actually, since I still have 1 more to go, is from everything I've done outside of school. My work experiences, the people I've met, the events, everything. I'd honestly say school has taught me so much less than the experience itself. That's why I'm happy to leave school.
I just want to say, just in case this does end up online, I agree with you. I think education is important.
Oh yeah, it is.
I'm a big fan of education.
Huge fan.
I was in the same boat as you. When I was attending school for theater, I was running a theater company. I learned more by doing.
Yeah.
And that's just me. Like, this is the type of learner. So maybe you're just the type of learner who needs to be applying things. I'm sure looking back on it, you might go, oh, this is a thing I picked up in school, whatever. But I think it's totally fine that you did school. You wanted to do it. You did it. Your degree is going to be helpful.
Oh yeah.
It's not like it's going to be a bad thing. But it's okay to say, I'm learning more by doing, and I can't wait to
Oh,
get
yeah.
into the real world.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
and that's what, and like that's the thing. I don't know where I'll end up, but I just trust myself to be okay. So I'm really excited. I don't know what's gonna happen, but it's so cool to me. That's like it's gonna be cool wherever I go. I don't know where I'm gonna go. For all I know, I'm doing like the most outlandish thing that I can't even conceptualize right now. But I know like if I'm there, I'm gonna be like I don't have the worry. Maybe it's gonna hit me later. Maybe this is all the entering last year thing, but I'm really excited for whatever next year kind of brings to life.
That's really cool. No, I think that's great. I love the positive attitude. I think you have a lot of really interesting thoughts, and it's gonna be a wild 15 years for
Oh
you.
yeah, I'm excited.
Of
I'm
just
excited.
excitement.
I'm excited for the downtimes too, because they're gonna come.
Of course.
Like, but the downtimes are, they're part of the whole like part of the journey or whatever.
It's reflective too.
Oh yeah.
You always
So,
need to have time to reflect.
Can't wait
back.
to be like at my lowest of the low. I'm
Yeah.
so excited for that.
1,000 Meals with 1,000 Artists is a project of Soul One Arts Inc. Produced and edited by me, Mike Shepard. Original music by Savannah Shea. Thank you to this week's artists and the local restaurants who host us. For more on 1,000 Meals with 1,000 Artists and Soul One, please visit soulonearts.ca. If you're an artist, feel free to reach out to us on our website and connect for your own meal. Thank you for listening.